Thank you to organizing team, Dr. Srinivas and Dr. Usha. So I have been given the talk, Administrative Laboratory and Clinical Challenges during the pandemic. So the last 1 year for all of us has been a good learning period. Throughout the country, throughout the world, we struggled. So if we see the whole world suffered because of this COVID pandemic, so it introduced a environment of sustained uncertainty and changing protocols. So dealing with the unforeseen challenges which has been caused because of this COVID pandemic was a very tough task for us. So if we see the main challenges which were there, so first and foremost was the safety, because everyone was concerned for the safety, including patient, donor, and staff. So this was quite tough challenge. Then there were the issues that how we can minimize the risk and exposure to all of us, including our patients, donors, and our staff. The major challenge was how to continue the patient care because during lockdown also healthcare services we cannot shut down. So we have to be there and our hospital services should run 24 hours 7 to support our patient care services. Then because this COVID-19 has posed lots of challenges, so there were a certain infrastructure requirement which has to deal with. Everyone is aware that when the COVID-19 and the lockdown was introduced, there's nowhere even a simple cloth mask was available in the market. Even soaps, liquid soaps, other soaps were out of shelf in all supermarkets. So that was the one major challenge. Then definitely the financial and resources challenges has come up subsequently when lockdown was introduced. There were issues then because of the COVID-19 and subsequent lockdowns, the consumable and reagent inventory, how can we optimize? There was a big amount of challenge for infection control practices because this was a new virus which has entered all of a sudden. So whether the current infection practices are sufficient or we need to do something extra, that was really a challenge. The equipment preventive maintenance and breakdown support, it has come up really hard. The transport facility, because everything public transport initially was shut down, and even when the lockdown was eased out, there was the fear that whether we should use public transport or not, because majority of support staff cannot afford their own individual vehicle or the individual cab services. And definitely, most of us, we are working as a teaching institute. So the teaching and training of our students, the training programs for various skill levels of staff was severely affected. And there were challenges with the continuity of the research activity because patients were not coming all of a sudden. Only we stopped taking the routine surgeries, and also many group of patients were not available for follow-up to enroll in the research activity. And definitely the fund shortage has stopped, funding agencies has stopped releasing new funds, new installment for research activity. So we'll go one. And the last and foremost challenge, which still we are continuing, that we are not sure, this uncertainty still has not gone. So which is the right way to go immediately? Yesterday itself, we were discussing in our faculty association that those who had taken the Covishield vaccine with 4 week duration, do they require again the next booster dose at 12 weeks? Because now government has modified that it should be given 6 to 8 week second dose. So those kind of uncertainty still we are dealing with. So moving forward, as we know, each coin will have two sides, except one which was used by Amitabh in Sholay that was having the similar, but we know. So this has given, this crisis has given birth to the changes which were pending maybe for quite many years, and few organizations, few institutes were thinking to bring into the picture, but it didn't happen. So it has given us an opportunity to think out of the box. So the principles which every healthcare organization adopted, we also adopted. So we have taken the leverage of our well-established disaster preparedness and as a Institute of National Importance, our regional and national networking setup. We have utilized the proactive financial modeling and supply chain management. We continuously adapted creatively to establish new safety and procedure protocol as much as new information was available from the international groups, from the national groups, from regulatory point of view, from administrative point of view. And there was a sustainable intentional effort to communicate the most up-to-date information quickly. And it should be, the focus was that this should be the common source of information, because as Suchit sir said that it was an infodemic, the lots of information which was available in the social media. So we have advantage that we have at Nimhan Center for Psychological Support in Disaster Management. So almost for 4 decades, Nimhans is working for psychological support in any natural disaster, man-made disaster. And formally since 2005, initially we were the nodal center for disaster in 2005. Then we were upgraded as a center of excellence by National Disaster Management Authority. And for COVID-19 pandemic, the institute was designated as a nodal center for psychosocial support and mental health services. So the most of the things, the preparedness, how to deal with everything was there, because we are providing in disaster, any disaster psychological first aid, care, support, rehabilitation, reconstruction, capacity building, hazard vulnerability, risk reduction, mitigation, human resource development, program development, and policy initiative. So the NIMHANS was very closely working with the state government and central government to deal with COVID-19 pandemic. So we were good enough. We can say, the prepared already to deal with to some extent. So the key strategy which has been adopted was the risk mitigation, identifying the rapidly evolving emerging needs, the planning changes which are required to address safety issues, the coordination of community surge planning. So our Department of Epidemiology was closely working with Karnataka government to to analyze the data, and the virology department, also neurovirology department, worked with close to identify the variants and how the COVID strains are behaving, which are the leading strains are there. So COVID-19 forecasting and unified education to inform all the staff, particularly the low cadre of staff, because they were more vulnerable because of their the surroundings, the areas, the colonies where they stay, and usually they stay in the crowded place. Hygiene levels are not so good. The access to healthcare facility was not there. So first we discuss how we address the safety issues. So as we know, the teamwork is the key for the safety. So the three main contents that we have focused. So one was information. So a timely dissemination of information about staff and patient safety from the administration at regular interval was given through proper channel. The COVID-19 education related to the safety, the all precautions, COVID appropriate behavior, how to ensure the patient safety. Everything was provided through pamphlet, posters, infographics, videos, and the website continuously display most of the information which was available for general public, including our staff. And the training, so COVID-19 safety protocols during various healthcare activities at various level for various levels of staff. It was mainly provided through online platform. So as other institute, we were also timely were intimated from the ministry. So somewhere in the first week of March, we started initiating the training for our staff, like how to don, how to doff, and the proper technique. The WHO hand wash technique was reinforced. So the another aspect to ensure the staff was the health. So institute superintendent office, the RMO office, the staff clinic help for each staff. Those were quarantined, those need to be quarantined, home isolation, and hospitalization, as Nimans was not COVID designated hospital. So those who had contacted a staff employee has to be treated at some other places. And then the coronavirus, we launched the national helpline to take care of mental health issues, including our staffs and throughout the country, which was well perceived. So the responding to the practice concern and providing consistent direction help to reassure our staff that if appropriate measures are in place and the administration has ensured that these are in place to keep them safe, and as well as we try to preserve the resources. So we have encouraged the staff to self-report their symptoms and illness. The staff was divided into the teams. So one team works at particular duration, then another team takes over. So in case of there is a COVID-19 spread within the staff, the hospital services can be continued. Social distancing within the laboratory to maximum possible extent, because we know that at some area it is not possible, but whatever was possible was followed. We have limited the social interaction, like strictly not allowed lunch having together, minimizing face-to-face meetings, coffee breaks, and so forth. And as every institute has followed, so staff and their dependent were completely covered financially in case of if they require any hospitalization, and quarantine leaves were approved. So that reassured staff about the safety. So next challenge which I am taking up was the infrastructure challenge, because there were needs to the social distancing of 6 feet need to be maintained. AC we cannot use, so the area should be ventilated. So administration has divided the institute into 3 zones: red, orange, and green zone. So red zone was for COVID positive patients. So the patient who has sought the help of Nimhans for any neurological disorders subsequently turned out to be COVID positive was treated here. So one subspecialty block was designated with ICU facility as a COVID zone, exclusive for neurological disorder patient. The orange zone was where the patient were waiting and the symptomatic patient COVID was awaited, and green zone where the patient were RT-PCR negative and subsequently shifted. So as for other places, the Department of Transfusion Medicine and Hematology, we were working in the green zone area so that donor movement is unhindered. Additional waiting area throughout the hospital premises, including my department, was increased. So additional patient and staff quarantine facility within the institute with increased ICU beds were provided by the administration. And thankfully, in the Bangalore, the Nimans design and all, it supports ample daylight and ventilation. So if many of you have visited, so must be well aware. So that was a plus point for us. And thanks to Bangalore weather, hardly you need to run AC except for the essential equipment requirements. So that was the boon. Then the inventory, personal protective equipment. So it was quite in shortage in the beginning of the pandemic. So efforts were there from the administration side to optimize the inventory by increasing the purchase, in-house production by the tailoring section. So our tailoring section stopped all linen related work, and volunteers were asked to join. Those who can do, the family members of staff who were staying in the quarters can do the tailoring part. They were asked to assist us to produce in-house PPE kits. Then inventory was effectively maintained with the close monitoring. Rational and judicious use of PPE was prompted with the guidelines, whatever was, and it was closely monitored by hospital infection surveillance system team. So as we know, the COVID-19 poses the financial challenges to all sectors. So healthcare sector was no other than. So there were from the ministry orders that the expected fund cutting and no new resources will be allotted. So each department were asked from the administration side to indent only essential patient care consumables. Any new facility and equipment purchase until unless it is for some emergency healthcare was put on the hold. Everyone was requested to judicious and optimize the available inventory with regard to consumable reagents. And we also stopped receiving any support from Karnataka State AIDS Preventive Society in terms of blood bags, the anti-sera, the TTI kits and all. It was quite a good challenge, but we managed to come. So there was a confusion like what appropriate infection control practices in the beginning of the pandemic. So the infection control practices were modified as per the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare guidelines recommended and adopted by our HISS team as per the available literature information available, whether from the WHO. So we have the nodal center of WHO in our neuromicrobiology department. So that helped. The emphasis was on frequent deep surface cleaning with the recommended disinfectant, and floor cleaning with the 3 bucket method was increased to minimize the risk of surface associated COVID-19 transmission. The frequent face mask and hand sanitation was promoted among the staff, patients, and the visitors if they are there, and the donors. The same test, isolate, treat, and test was followed for the patient. So each department had a one coordinator for contact tracing because HISS team itself cannot take care. So each department, one faculty was designated. So for my department, I was the designated faculty for contact tracing if someone is positive from in my department. So then the staff was divided into the two teams, mainly here, to minimize the risk of COVID exposure. The biggest one of the challenge has come the traffic challenges. So on the left side, if we see the pictures, these will remain in our mind for quite a long time, maybe throughout the life. And last year in 2020, the Oxford Dictionary didn't announce their word of the year. If they would announce, definitely it is going to be lockdown, the world of Oxford Dictionary for year 2020, maybe for 2021 if they are going to announce. So there was no support from the transport, all public transport was shut down. So initially the staff who were coming through their own vehicle, they were placed on the rosters, and those who were using the public transport were put on hold. Then the Bangalore BMTC was requested to provide special buses for healthcare workers. We have institute also arranged the buses on few routes so the staff can come and attend their duties. And because there were lots of checking, the police check post and all, so to allow the free flow of healthcare staff, the police was requested to recognize the Nimans staff vehicle. So they have suggested us to put a uniform sticker on all the vehicles. So it avoided the scrutiny at the police check post. So now I'm coming with the patient care services. So it was very badly affected, but despite so many challenges, we continued our patient care services. So we started our routine surgery somewhere in May after the partial lockdown was announced. And our OPD services for all mental health care services plus neurology and the neurosurgery resumed from June 2nd. So for follow-up patient and during the lockdown, we have given the interactive voice response services based appointment, and follow-up consultation were initiated through telemedicine. So in March 2020, the telemedicine practice guideline has come up, and Nimans already is having a telemedicine center of excellence. So it was quite helpful to deal with, to provide and to continue the patient care services. So universal mask use for employee and patient and eye protection by using the head shield, and it was promoted. And COVID-19 screening protocols at various levels, it was very proactively and aggressively implemented. Then we started CBNAT, the cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test, which is very rapid test and with equal sensitivity and specificity to RT-PCR. For emergency services and the therapeutic procedures, which we do at my department, so that the waiting time was reduced for the patient. This report is available within 1 hour, and institute website displayed all FAQs. So if in this table, if we see before the lockdown, which is written as a first phase, we have done somewhere around average 11 therapeutic procedure cycles per day, which was very significantly affected. But still, we continued. More or less, the category 1 indication were continuing to come during the lockdown, and all other category 2 and category 3 were on the lower side. That was dealt with. The teaching and training, because as a teaching institute, our teaching and research work were the worst affected, because all teaching programs were halted, all external PGs were sent back. The research scholars were asked to suspend their research activity. So digital initiatives were augmented and teaching resumed with online platform, including our institute developed our own Hamsa platform for the teaching. The Nimans Digital Academy for digital certification courses continued and expanded the scope for the training. And research, though other research area were stopped, but research focused to COVID-19 were initiated, focusing on neuroscience, mental health, and epidemiology, apart from the routine virology research, which was happening for COVID-19. So the laboratory challenges were because initially we were not sure that how the samples will be infected. So slowly information came, and then we come to know that the maximum what are the percentage of getting infected from the various samples. So maximum all respiratory sample like bronchoalveolar lavage, sputum, nasal swabs, bronchoscopic breath samples, pharyngeal swabs. But still, the other samples which were coming for the testing, they carry the risk of infection, mainly through aerosolization. Like a stool sample can have up to 10%, serum up to roughly 3%, urine itself carry roughly 1% of the infection. And the mode of the procedures, laboratory procedures, which can be involved with COVID-19 exposure risk, those are collection of respiratory specimen, centrifugation of the sample in the open tube, the loading, unloading of sealed centrifuge cups, grinding, blending, spills, vigorous shaking, disruption by ultrasonic waves, flaming, removal of the caps of vacutainers, the opening of the container which have infectious material like in the vacutainer, and autopsy procedures. So the key while handling clinical samples of COVID-19 patient, it was the contamination, surface contamination of the sample container and the aerosolization during any pre-analytical or analytical phase. So it was crucial to ensure that laboratory process remains safe and effective, because we have to deliver. We cannot stop our services just because there was a risk of COVID-19 infection. So samples were transported in the Ziploc pouches for COVID-19 suspected or positive patients. So sample with that pouch, what we have adopted, we were dipping initially in 1% hypochlorite, freshly prepared hypochlorite for 30 minutes, if it is not to process immediately. And tubes were wiped after that with alcohol swab whenever someone is going to touch or open. After centrifugation, though all the tubes were strictly followed that we need not to centrifuge with the open tubes, but still as a precautionary measure, we have given a rest time of 10 minutes. So to minimize the risk of the aerosol generation during centrifugation of the sample, considering that the surface contaminated outer side may also serve as a potential source for COVID-19 contamination. Initially, we have maintained a log for the personnel, those who have handled the samples from the COVID-19 positive patient or suspected patient. So to maintain a traceability, if subsequently staff get positive, all processings were performed with the universal precautions and whatever COVID-19 safety protocols was instituted, and additional space for the staff lunch were created. So subsequently we realized, and the unpublished data is still from the institute, that the major source of infection among the healthcare workers were community acquired infection, and then the sharing the lunch, because that time we are not using any PPE. So it was strictly monitored. Staffs were not allowed to have lunch together. The few additional lunch areas were created. That will help us a lot. Then another challenge for the laboratory was, because of the logistic issues, all proficiency testing surveys were not able to continue But subsequently, the all EQUAS cycles were completed when normalcy resumed. So we are receiving EQUAS sample from CMC Vellore. So completed all 3 EQUAS cycles after lockdown ease out. Due to limited availability of testing kits and consumable and scheduled method validation verification activities were also disrupted because we don't want to lose on consumables. That was put on the withhold. Laboratory accreditation compliance audit also were cancelled. So NABH was quite generous to extend the validity, and the later audits were conducted online or with hybrid assessment mode. So just at the end, a glimpse to what we have done, because as a blood banker, I cannot hold myself. So what we do for blood, what everyone has followed. So social distancing, avoiding crowding, the ventilated blood donation drives, the staff with adequate PPE, and the frequent deep surface cleaning. So that we also continued our voluntary blood donation activity, though it has come down to a very significant level. So at the end, I would like to end with the 2 famous quotes. So one is from the Lucia May Alcott, which is a author. So I am not afraid of a storm, for I am learning how to sail my ship. So what we are doing, we cannot stop our patient care services, our blood donor activity. So we are continuing. We have started, we have initiated, continuing our learning how to deal with the challenges which we are daily facing in life. And the second is from the Albert Einstein. So life is like riding a bicycle. So in order to keep your balance, you must keep moving. So show must go on. We cannot stop. So as a healthcare worker, we have our responsibility. So we should provide our services and ensuring the safety of our staff, patient, and donors. So thank you so much. This is from my side.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful